everybody. Welcome to the Talking Heartland Show. This is the show where we're looking at back episodes of the Heartland Show, and we are in season 12, episodes 4, 5, and 6. And I'm film critic Rachel Wagner. Michelle's here.
Hey, everyone.
And we have a special guest with us today here. Ryan Cam is here with us. And Ryan, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us why you were asked to come on this episode?
Okay, well, hi everyone. My name is Ryan Cam. I have a YouTube channel where I review movies, back episodes of The Twilight Zone. I do a lot of other things. And I was asked to come on because, well, I edit this show. I edit this show once a week, and it's a joy to do. I really appreciate listening to you guys, and just a friendly warning, I'm not entirely familiar with all the nuances of this show. However, watching these episodes I actually was able to keep up pretty well. So if I miss something, I guess I want to apologize up front. But
yeah, I thought it would be fun. Well, you came out to visit, and I thought it would be kind of a fun experiment in a way, because you have been editing the podcast, but you haven't actually been watching the show. So I thought it would be interesting to see your perspective. And it's kind of a unique perspective. You know all about Georgie and Amy and Lou and things like that, but you don't actually watch the show.
And Tim and John and Wyatt and all of them, yes.
Yes. So yeah, these were pretty fun episodes for you to get in on. I think these were all pretty solid, I would say. Would you agree, Michelle?
Yeah, I'll just say I'm so relieved that Ryan is joining us in season 12 and not 11.
Yes, that's true. Season 11.
Yeah, I know. I edited all those episodes. It sounds rough.
Yes. All right. Well, let's dive in. Season 12, episode 4. The first one is called Risk and Reward. And this is actually directed by Megan Follows, who plays Ty's mom, Lily, on the show. And so it's kind of fun to see her directing. And it's Amy and Ty treat an injured animal while on Lindy's first camping trip. Jade has a bad fall off a bronc, and Tim and Georgie try to convince her to see a doctor. Georgie starts working with her new coach. So, Michelle, overall, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I really like this one. I'm so happy with this season.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like everything that we complained about last season has been sort of fixed, and they're telling these really sort of personal stories. They're sort of going back to the horse stories. They're really pushing our characters forward. Plus, we've got Ty back in a full time, and from episode to episode, and not just sort of popping in and out. So it feels like it just feels more consistent. So yeah, I was really happy with this episode, and I really liked Jade's storyline.
Yeah. What do you think, Ryan? This episode overall?
I really enjoyed this episode as well. It was the Jade stuff that really kept me interested, because literally you see the fall that she takes in like the first few minutes, and wow, it was rough. Like she, like her eyes were like glazed over. I was just like, if she is not concussed, then it is a miracle. And turns out, well, yes, she is. But just like, wow, like you could not pay me enough to take that fall.
Yeah, they did a very good job, as they always do with all the horse work on this show. But it looked, I mean, whatever stunt person or however they made it work, it looked very, very real, the fall.
Yeah, and the actress is actually pregnant this season, so I love that they're not cutting back her storyline. Obviously our stunt doubles, doing all of this, but they aren't sort of shying away from giving her screen time, and I really love how progressive Heartland is in that way.
Yeah, I kind of wondered about that, if that's why they were giving her this sort of storyline, for that she could be kind of grounded for the whole season. But I really want to one of these days get Madison on the podcast, because who plays Madison Cheetow, who plays Jade, because I think she's really good.
Yeah, very good. And it's such a crazy journey that she's been on. from the beginning, when we first met her. She's definitely one of the characters that's grown the most.
Yeah, I agree. And her relationship with Tim is really
so cute.
nice.
Yeah,
Because
it's interesting that we're seeing Tim be sort of more I don't want to put a knock on him, but it seems like he gets more sort of fatherly scenes with Jade as opposed to sort of Amy and Lou. But I guess they've got their own sort of families and drama to deal with. So it's nice that we sort of get those moments with Jade and Tim.
Yeah, and it's just Jade just has her mom, right? Her dad is, because she was going to go to the fishing trip, right?
Yeah, I think her dad's remarried.
Has a new family.
Yeah, new family. Yeah.
Yeah. So Peter comes in to the diner. Jen is there. It's Peter there with the beard.
Oh my God.
He's trying a new look. Were they maybe starting this a Jen and Peter thing a little bit? Did you feel that maybe?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I'm there for the drama. I think Lou's going to lose it when she finds out.
But I feel like that they have better chemistry than Lou and Peter ever have.
Yeah. I mean, it's not hard to beat, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Ryan, did you see any flirting going on there between Jen and Peter at the diner?
It was kind of hard not to notice.
Yeah. I'm interested to see where that goes, but the beard I could do without for Gabriel Hogan.
He looked like he was kind of going for like a Daniel Plainview kind of look.
Yeah. And so Jen is trying to have more confidence, and so she talks to Georgie about her using her phone while working. And to be honest, I don't really understand why Georgie is still working at Maggie's. If she's trying to be an Olympian, like she needs
she needs to prioritize.
Yeah. But nevertheless, she takes away Georgie's phone. She's trying to be more assertive, and it doesn't really go all that well. She realizes. But I was excited because is this the first we've seen? Was Jen in either of the 3 episodes we talked about last week, Michelle?
I don't think
so. I don't think so.
Yeah, if so, it was very brief. Nothing really stands out to me.
So I was happy to see her back because I like Lisa Drew, and I just like the character. She's fun.
Yeah, she's got a good energy.
So Georgie, she is tired and having a hard time, but then she gets second place, and the coach says that's not good enough. Like, you need to get first place. And she's right. I mean, if she wants to be an Olympian, she needs to get first place in a local competition.
And I really think it was more Georgie's attitude of like, I'm happy with second, and it's like, it's not that second is bad, it's that she should be striving for first. So I think it was more just a sort of attitude, towards what the coach obviously teaches at such a high level. I imagine she wants all of her students to be aiming for first place, whereas Georgie's just sort of very happy to sort of place top 3.
Yeah Ryan, what do you think about that, given you were kind of new to the show? Did you think the coach was too tough, or what do you think?
I think it just depends. I'm like, I am new to this, so I'm not entirely sure. I mean, I guess my mindset is that you should always want to go for first, but second's really not that bad of a position. I mean, it just we don't see the actual meet, so we really don't know the context. But I think if I think you should always go for first, but second is not exactly a terrible place either. I mean, that's just me.
Yeah, the coach says, I'm not interested in coaching a top 5 jumper. I'm interested in coaching the top jumper, which I kind of wish they just had not brought the Olympics in, because if
Mhm.
she's training for the Olympics, then she needs to be the best in a local competition. That
Mhm.
that it's the coach. I think the coach is right. I think they probably should have just made it more of like a general competition as opposed to her preparing for the Olympics.
Yeah, or
Um,
sort of similar to Jaden, that she's trying for like a scholarship or something like that.
yeah. I think that would have made more sense.
Hmm.
And some people just aren't very competitive people. And I kind of
Yeah,
wonder if Georgie's one of those people.
yeah, and I think that's the perfect word for it, Rachel. That she's maybe just not as competitive enough for this coach.
Mhm.
I think maybe that's the issue that she's having.
Yeah. And we never really gotten why she wants to be an Olympian. I feel like that's such an overwhelming thing to try to
Hmm.
do, that you need to have some passion behind it. You need to, like, it's a huge sacrifice to become an Olympian. It's not a little thing. That you have to be, and I know every discipline is slightly different, but I think pretty much when you decide to go to the Olympics, it's a big deal.
Yeah, it's pretty much a full-time job.
Hmm. But she's running a lot. They got Alicia running a lot this season.
Yeah, it's nice to see them sort of bring in the more physical side of it, because it obviously is a very physically demanding sport, and we've just sort of seen Georgie sort of excel in these
Mm,
sort of fantastical sort of ways. So it is nice that they've grounded it in a little bit of like the realistic aspects of the sport, and that
yeah,
she's going to have to work really hard in order to get where she wants to go.
that's true, because and I mean, and Amy, she's just always
She's
amazing
magical,
at
yeah,
everything she
magical girl.
does. We have this camping trip, which with Amy, Ty, and Lindy, and it with an RV, and it was pretty adorable. I have to say, I thought a little first camping trip, and I don't know, Ryan, are you much of a, where do you stand on camping? Are you much of a camper?
I've never really gone, so I don't really have
Oh, really?
strong feelings on it either way. I live in Florida. There's not really much place to camp.
Mm. Yeah. What do you think, Michelle? What do you think about camping?
Yeah, camping is huge in Scotland. I'm
Hmm.
not a fan. I've went a few times as a child, and yeah, I'm too like nervous and too sort of yeah, like my comforts, but even just noises and things throughout the night really freak me out.
Hmm.
Yeah, my parents loved camping, and they sort of camped all through my childhood up until fairly recently. And even friends like and have invited me to camping trips, and I'm just like, yeah, no, no, thank
Yeah.
you.
Well, I'd say I'm not much of a camper because I hate sleeping on the ground.
Yeah, that's
And
my problem. Yeah.
yeah, so an RV camp though, that sounds
Oh
fun
yeah,
to me.
that sounds fun. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have somewhere to sleep, and that's the biggest issue for me, is I just
Hmm.
so uncomfortable and I have a hard time sleeping. But I also think I'm bad luck with camping. When people have these incredible trips, and then as soon as I go, it's a it's rains the whole time, or there's some kind of horrible thing that happens. um, so I usually just say, you're gonna have more fun if I don't go. Trust me. Um, but but anyway, it was a cute little camping trip, I thought. And I thought, you're gonna kill those poor burgers.
And he did.
So yeah, she did. He burnt them to a crisp because they were already overcooked. Like when she was, and then she kept them on there longer, and I was like, oh, no. But that's the best part of camping, though, is the food. I love cooking on open fire and making like full foil packed dinners. so
Mhm.
delicious. You can make them in just your regular oven, but you just put some kind of like meat or protein and the vegetables, some marinade, wrap it up in the foil, and then put it in the fire or in your oven. So good. Highly recommend it. Yeah, and s'mores. Who doesn't like s'mores? That's delicious. Anyway, and so Lindy, cute little Lindy, sees a puppy
Oh
that's
my
been
God.
injured. That was so cute.
Yeah, I 100% thought they were taking that dog home with them. It's like,
I know, I did
I'm like,
too.
I was like, they've added another animal to the ranch.
Because they could. They only have Remy. It's the only
Mm-hmm.
dog. They could have another dog. And did they explain why the dog got injured and got there
I don't think so.
when they
Yeah, I don't think
run
so.
back? They just said that, oh, we love this puppy so much. But I was like, what happened? How did it get there? But leave it to Lindy. That was so cute, I thought, when she was like, puppy, puppy.
Yeah, it's so crazy that she's like saying words now.
I know. Yeah. It's so cute. Those twins are adorable. It was just a really nice moment when Ty was talking about remembering camping with his parents and the last time that his family was together before his dad left, and then Amy says, you give Lindy so much more than that, and it was just sweet.
Yeah, and it sort of ties in with his backstory, and we've heard all of this before, so yeah, it tied in really nicely.
What do you think of that, Ryan? That family moment?
Oh, I thought it was great. I really did. And I'm not really much of a dog person. I'm not pro or anti, but not gonna lie, when they saw that dog out there, I'm like, yeah, that's cute. That's really, really cute. And then there's a part of me that I was like, I hope they keep him at the end. And of course they didn't. And it just puzzled me because like the older couple was like, oh, we couldn't live without him. Yet you let him get lost apparently and not even have like a collar question mark something. Like it took someone posting on like Facebook to find your beloved dog. I had so many questions.
That was weird. It was weird. But then we also have Tim being Tim again, making fights with Caleb. And I like Caleb. He's saying, I'm not just going to be your guest man. And then he's making fights with Jack too, saying, did you ever think that your lack of consideration might be the problem? And Caleb says, I'm not going to put up with this. Tim.
Yeah, I like died when Caleb had his like breakup box of memories.
Oh yeah, all the mementos.
Oh my god. Oh my god, it's so Caleb. He's so dramatic.
I always think of on The Office when Oscar says that he loves an epic quit, and I hope to have one of my own someday. For an epic, because I agree. I love an epic quit, and so it's nice to see Caleb stick up for himself because he is working really hard and really contributing to the school, to the rodeo school.
Yeah, and the kids love him, so
yeah,
it's a nice balance. They're probably terrified of Tim.
Yeah. How did you feel about Tim, Ryan?
I thought he was I mean his heart was in the right place, but I think he was a bit difficult. I mean, I it just feels like it's like, guys, just work something out. Like there's no need to get all hot and bothered about this.
Yeah. He would be a nightmare to work with. That would be very difficult. But he does tell Jack that he was planning to propose to Casey, and they have kind of a nice moment in the end. And And then you get a nice scene with Georgie running with Peter at the end after they give the dog back. So yeah, this was a pretty good episode. I enjoyed it. What would you give it, Michelle? 1 to 10?
Like 7.5.
Yeah, I think that's fair. What about you, Ryan? Do you agree?
I'll be a little more generous. I'll go 8.
Okay, good. We'd like to take a second from this episode of the podcast to celebrate our sponsor of this episode, and that is the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast?
Do you want an inside scoop into what happens on the podcast?
Do you want early access to episodes and loads of cool perks?
Now is the time to become a patron of Hallmarkies podcast.
By becoming a patron, you get to access our patron Facebook group.
You can request episodes or even be a guest on the podcast.
And most importantly, any patron can join our monthly movie watch-alongs with stars like Paul Campbell, Natalie Hall, and more.
It's as low as $2 a month to join in and become a special part of the Hallmarkies family.
Please consider, and we will love you forever.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
Right. Let's move on to episode 5. This is Change of Heart. Georgie and Wyatt work to reunite a famous trick rider with her long lost horse. Amy and Ty try to find a way to reconnect with Luke, and Jack finally loses his patience with his unwanted house guest, Tim. What do you think, Michelle, overall for this episode?
Yeah, I really like this one. I like that, Betty was a very abrasive character to begin with, but I sort of like that they sort of but they sort of gave her, this amazing gift, but didn't magically fix all of her problems. It's not like that she walked away with Boots. It's like they sort of gave her closure and then sort of, carried on, Boots's sort of storyline through Luke. So I thought that was done really well. And just anytime they put Tim and Jack together is just gold.
Yeah. I mean, Tim was extra in this episode.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh my gosh. But what do you think overall of this one, Ryan?
I really like this one too, and just the entire storyline with Betty, I thought was done very well.
Mm-hmm.
When I was watching it, I was thinking to myself, like, is Jack always like this?
Mm-hmm.
Like, seems very negative all the time.
Yeah, I think Tim brings out that side of Jack because he really can be quite a lovable character, but sweet grandpa kind of character, but Tim just knows how to press Jack's buttons.
Yeah, I can understand that, but there was a scene where Tim was making this cedar plank salmon for dinner,
mm-hmm.
and John got all hot and bothered about using the I want to say either whiskey or wine, and they had a big fight over it, and I'm like, dude, if you didn't want him to use it, like, just leave a note or something, like please don't use this.
Yeah, that wine for Jack, that was sent to him by his wife, Lisa, and they were going to enjoy it together. And so it was like special. And that tree probably should have left a note, but it's just the kind of thing Tim does where he just plows on through and doesn't think to ask first or to he's just kind of a bulldozer of a human.
Yeah, that's
but true. But I agree. I think this was a really nice episode. At first I was like, wow, this lady Betty, she's a lot. She was so rude, almost to the point where like, can they bring her back after in just a short 42-minute episode? But they actually did, and I thought it worked well. And her writing, when they showed the trick writing, was unbelievable.
Yeah,
that was
so
wild. We find out Tim has gotten an RV to live in, and So, because he in a previous episode, Ryan, he had sold his property. Big
they
River.
they did bring that up.
Yeah. And so we have little Luke is back with Clint, and he is just so cute. They have such great child casting in this show. I was so happy to see him back again. And I don't know, that was just very sweet. Him and Boots. Oh
My God.
it was so cute.
So cute. Yeah, everybody gets a horse.
Yeah. I wrote down Luke loves Boots. And he lets him go, and they have to, go and find him. And that's just that moment of, we love having you here, Luke. So anytime you are left alone, call. It was just so sweet between Luke and Ty. And then, the bond between Boots and Luke. It was so cute. I was so happy that Amy wanted to buy Boots.
Yeah.
Because Boots is
so much room.
Yeah, because Boots is Betty's old horse, and they hunt him. Wyatt and Georgie hunt him down and reunite them. It was very sweet.
Yeah. And I like that they sort of, didn't give Boots to Betty, because it wouldn't make sense, because she had to give up her property and wouldn't have anywhere to sort of put him. But yeah, it's nice that he has sort of a place there where he'll be able to help Luke, and she'll be able to visit him. But yeah, it was a really nice way of introducing a new horse into the show.
Yeah, it was really fun. And Tim tells Jack, you've got to be open to new things. Does he have a point there, do you think, Michelle? Or no?
I mean, I think that's Jack's biggest downfall, is he's very closed off to new things. He doesn't like anything out of his sort of normal routine. It's sort of been the big sort of contention in his and Lisa's relationship. And they've managed to sort of find, it's took them a long time. I mean, they didn't live together for many years before, while they were married. It took them a long time, but yeah, Jack, I think it's harder for him when Lisa isn't there.
Yeah.
And it feels like all he's got is to contend with is Tim. And he obviously can't handle it. But yeah, it is his biggest downfall.
Yeah, I think so. And it's just, you probably, especially in a place like Heartland, where it's not like they have just expensive bottles of wine just hanging around all the time. Tim should have asked before. I mean, especially why you would, I would think you'd want to use really cheap wine to soak the planks. That's not even it's not you're not drinking it. I don't know much about wine, but you're not drinking it. You're not even adding it to the actual food. You're just soaking the planks in super expensive wine. Probably not the best choice when it came to Tim. But yeah, Jack was grumpy. I think that a lot of men, when their spouses are gone, get kind of grumpy. I've seen that. I know my dad. You can see that. And I liked when Betty says, enjoy it while you can, because when it's gone, the silence is deafening. So enjoy all kind of the madness of everything. And we also have Wyatt and Georgie, and Wyatt says, we still make a good team. And then they end up going on a date to the Godzilla retrospective. Do you think, Ryan, that sounds like a fun date?
That sounds fun to me. I'm a big Godzilla fan, so I would have been all over that. But one thing I was thinking of when I was watching this, and I'm sure you all know more about this than I do, are Wyatt and Georgie, were they a thing, or are they a thing now? Or are they just are they or aren't they, or do we even know?
So they were a thing, but then he kissed her before he'd broken up with his previous girlfriend in another city.
Ooh.
Yeah, and so then she was super mad, and then they're just kind of getting back. Like this is their first date again in round 2. Is that right? Did I get it right, Michelle?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah. We also have Jade being the most amazing babysitter ever.
Yeah.
That was so cute.
Yeah, I love the sort of running joke of Ty just being such an OTT parent. I feel
Right.
like Graham Wardle's so good at it. Like he's so like everything's timed to perfection, and if he's got a book, it has to be followed to the like he has to have a book for everything thus far. Yeah, he's so funny.
Yeah. And Jade had this whole fight with Tim about, well, show everybody that this career has injuries and it's part of it, and you can come back and you can be a good example to the other students. And she says no at first because she's feeling so depressed, and then at the end of this episode they offered Jade a full-time babysitting gig because she's so amazing. That fort looked so fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like that.
Yeah, that's like the most fun thing when you're a kid is building forts, I think. Anyway, and she says no, she's going to go back and mentor at the rodeo school, which I think is going to be very fun coming up in future episodes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. What do you think? Do you think that looked fun? Jade as a babysitter, Ryan?
Oh yeah. She's definitely a fantastic babysitter. She's a natural. She really is.
And she manages to toilet train Lindy in one day, which is very impressive.
I don't have kids, but I don't think that's how that works. But that's just me.
And we do get at the end Jack bringing biscuits to Tim and saying he's sorry. So he made up. They had a nice moment at the end, I think. And I think, why not have Tim live in the trailer? Like that's certainly enough room for one person, and he probably made bank selling Big River. So,
yeah.
But the only thing is, I don't know. We'll talk about it in the next episode, but without Big River's land, how do they have enough to satisfy this contract they've made with for the beef? I don't know how that all works, but anyway, I think we pretty much covered. It was a nice story with Betty, like we said, in the end, and she tells Georgie, don't forget about trick riding.
Georgie's got enough on her plate.
So I would give this one an 8.5. I think I felt pretty good about it. What do you think, Michelle?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, this was one of my favorite ones.
What do you think, Ryan?
I'm not just agreeing with you just to agree with you. I'm going to give it the same thing.
Okay, cool.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
So the next episode is called Diamond in the Rough. When the new manager at Fairfield comes to them with an unusual concern, Amy and Ty find themselves at odds about how best to treat her horse. Lou and Peter don't see eye to eye when Georgie is offered a life-changing opportunity. So overall, Ryan, what do you think about this episode?
I did enjoy this one. I think out of all the three, I wasn't. I'm not gonna say I liked this the least, but I liked all three equally. It's like 1A, 1B, and 1C, and this was 1C, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. And I don't think that this this description really is that accurate. I mean, I feel like Peter and Lou didn't really disagree that much. It was just about kind of what Georgie wants and if she wanted to go and if they could afford it. I don't feel like they were fighting that much. But what do you think, Michelle?
Yeah, I really like this one. I'm a little bit mixed on, you know, the Georgie storyline. Just I'm a bit nervous to see where that goes. And I like that, you know, Amy and Ty, it's not just like they magically sort of work together perfectly, you know, that there's some teething issues.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked the Diamond storyline because it felt like such a throwback to early seasons with Ty, because, you know, that was a big part of his story of, like, you know, getting this sort of second chance and people sort of expecting the worst from him, and yeah, it was a nice storyline for him, and it shows again how far he's come. But yeah, I agree. Like, I think this is the best Lou and Peter have ever communicated.
Yeah, right. Well, and I think that it was an interesting storyline for Ty and Amy, because obviously if they're going to be a married couple continuing on through the show, they need to have some conflict and you need to see them grow. And the fact that she was, you know, so offended that he would interrupt her, and that they would kind of come to a new realization about how they could work together, I thought was really good.
Yeah, it was really good. And it also sort of highlights how different they are.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like they've just sort of become one person, which I feel like some shows do with a couple that have been together for so long. They make them sort of harmonious in sort of every single aspect. But yeah, I like that they sort of brought back sort of Ty's sort of history, and then sort of, you know, tied back in with Amy's mum as well.
Yeah, it was good. And I loved the whole Mitch and Jack making
Oh my God.
steaks. That was so funny. Like, when who knew
barbecues?
Who knew Mitch was such a foodie? He's getting out the sous vide, and that was funny.
Yeah, just like Jack's face when he says boil the steaks in water. Like,
yeah, and when he's like, I'm about sous vide, he's like, I'm gonna pretend I didn't hear that. That was funny. What do you think of Jack and Mitch? Did you, Ryan, did you think one looked better than the other one? Steak?
Well, I'm a big steak guy, so they both looked good, to be honest. But I loved how Jack was just looking at this technology. He's like, what in the world? I loved like his facial reactions to it. And I knew what a sous vide was. I've seen Chopped, so I know what it is.
Yeah.
But I just loved his reactions. It just made me laugh.
The truth is, in my opinion, you don't make the best steak on the grill. I think the best steak is on you get a really, really hot cast iron skillet. You sear it both sides and then put it in the oven with a pat of butter on the top. That is how you make a great steak.
And then you baste it.
Yeah, every few minutes you could baste it if you want, but that's the way you make a great steak. So I reject either of these methods. I think the sous vide seems weird to me. Like basically slowly boiling a steak, that doesn't sound good.
Yeah. I wouldn't be rushing to try it anyway.
Yeah. Plus, it would take a really long time. That's the whole idea of it.
Way too scientific for me.
Yeah, I think like a pork chop would be better in sous vide. Get it really tender. Not this is a cooking podcast, but that's what I would do. And it was just a really fun little plot. I enjoyed it. And I still don't really understand how they're getting enough. They have enough cattle to meet Fred's needs, especially when they're upping it.
Yeah.
He wants to double.
Yeah, they don't have enough cattle, so they would absolutely have to buy more. Like Jack says at the end, they would have to buy more. They definitely have the land, because you know, he was giving Amy a bunch of land. You know, he you know,
Yeah,
they asked it, you
that's
know, they
true.
said, do you want to give Lou land? And he's like, well, I've already given her you know, the land that the dude ranches on. So he definitely has like surplus land, but
Mhm.
it seems like he just doesn't want to go into like the mass production, which makes sense for Jack.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's an interesting plot of like, what is this contract that he has with Mitch? You know, is it legally binding? Like, it might not be easy to sort of back out of this.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I guess if it's like special
Mm-hmm.
kind of like Wagyu or something, you know what I mean? Like some kind of special steak, then
Mm-hmm.
maybe they could do that there, but it just doesn't seem like
Yeah,
enough for
but
a major grocery chain.
yeah, we have no information of like where this you know meat is produced from, or like, or
Mhm.
you know, is it that it must happen off Heartland? They don't have any type of facilities there to deal with, you know, slaughtering
Mhm.
cattle. It's not a Heartland type of storyline, which is why it sort of shocked me that obviously, you know, they've got cattle, they're doing something with it, but you know, with a lot of times with Heartland, they tend to sort of skirt around the more difficult things to
Mhm.
talk about.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So we also have Peter becoming like the speed demon, getting all these tickets.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was trying to
driving a
calculate.
Porsche.
Yeah, of course.
I was trying to like calculate how much money he'd like wasted in the space of like a day.
Yeah. Me, because what did he get? 3 tickets, I think, by the
I think
end.
4 by then.
Oh, 4. So it's at least $125 per ticket, at least.
Not worth it.
Yeah. That's the thing. When people buy these expensive race cars, it's like you can't drive fast. You just can't get a ticket. So what's the point? I don't know. I don't get cars. I'm not a car person.
I think he was just like, Lou bought herself something, so I must buy myself something. It was such a weird like competitive moment between them.
Yeah. Yeah. So Lou buys a necklace for herself, which I am all about. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to wait for a guy to get nice things in your life. So that was cool. But yeah, they were paying there was a little tit for tat going on between them. And there was a nice moment between Peter and Jack. And Peter says, I'm just not ready. Jack says, you never are ready to see, because Georgie has this opportunity to go to this European training camp. And I do think it's funny how in this show, whenever they want to get rid of somebody for a little while, oh, let's send them off to Europe.
Yeah.
Europe is the big. Lisa's in Europe. Mallory went to Europe. Amy went to Europe.
Yeah, they need to send somebody to like Australia.
Yeah. I mean, I guess they did Mongolia, but
Oh yeah. Let's not go to Mongolia.
not go there.
Nothing good happens there for these people. But yeah, I'm wondering if this is to sort of tie in with the actual actress's life. Yeah, I'm not sure if she's like going to college, or you know,
Yeah.
that's something that they're having to sort of contend with.
I figure there must be something like that.
Yeah.
Where she needs to be away for a little bit. So they do that. We also have this plot line at Fairfield, which is Jack's wife, Lisa, owns this ranch called Fairfield. Anyway, so that's the connection. So they go up there, and there's this horse Diamond that the woman Lauren thinks, or that that Lauren thinks that this guy Tony is turning Diamond against her. But then he talks to Ty and says that it's Lauren who is causing all the problems.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have a person you believed more or less, Ryan?
I don't know. It was at the time I was kind of like, all right, you both have good arguments, but I was just trying to it just didn't make any sense how a horse could be trained to throw off a rider. I mean,
Yeah.
it just seemed a bit sus to me. But I wasn't trying to like make any assumptions, I suppose.
Yeah, I thought that was weird too. What do you think of that, Michelle?
Yeah, I agree. And I really felt like she wasn't really held accountable for her prejudice. It felt like that was, the fact that this guy had, been in prison. It didn't really matter what had
Mhm.
happened in his life post prison. She was still sort of holding that, over his head and, really rude to him. And he might be justified in, thinking that he deserved a promotion, and it's such a difficult thing, and I guess just seeing so many episodes of the show, it sort of felt
Mhm.
like we're not gonna go this way of this guy maliciously training a horse to do that.
Mhm.
But yeah, I just felt like
Yeah.
she got off it really easy.
Yeah, I can't imagine how you would do that without the person being there. Like I could imagine you could train a horse to not like a particular person, but I would think that person would have to be in
Yeah.
the arena
Hmm.
there and do something to make the horse not like them.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was just a weird, a little weird story, but basically Ty is inclined to feel for Tony because he is also an ex, felon. He understands where Tony's coming from and that people will be suspect of him. And then Amy is probably more likely to listen to Lauren. I mean, not just the fact that she's a woman, but because she, works with horses, and I don't know, I just can understand why she'd be looking that way. So they have this big fight after
Hmm.
Ty interrupts Amy. And I agree. I thought that was probably not the best choice for Ty to make.
Hmm.
I felt like it was a pretty valid, understandable, realistic argument that this couple would probably have.
Yeah. And it's something that they're going to have to contend with a lot. I mean, Amy is always going to going to look at the more sort of behavioral side of things,
Yeah.
and looking for a more sort of um spiritual, sort of homeopathic solution. And
Mm-hmm.
Thai is sort of the opposite of that. So yeah, it's definitely something that they're going to have to work through.
Yeah. And so they have this fight, and they go to bed angry, which you always hear that, don't go to bed angry, but I think that's, I mean, I'm not married, but I think that's really stupid advice. Like sometimes you need time to cool off, and
Hmm.
you won't say something that you regret in the heat of the moment. It's better to just calm down, and then the next morning when you have a cool head, start with a clean slate like they do. And I think that sometimes that advice of don't go to bed angry, I think is really dumb.
Yeah, yeah, agreed. It's better to walk away and you know get rid of that anxiety and anger and
Mm-hmm.
stress a little bit before you know it's better to take that out of the argument than add more.
Yeah. You agree, Ryan?
Oh yeah, 100%. I
Yeah.
can't tell you how many times I've been just mad as all get out about something, and then I just walk away from it. I process it, and then I come back, and oftentimes I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, wait, what was I angry about again?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And it was really cute at the end when they get their business cards, and
Yeah,
they
it is
are,
interesting that Amy doesn't take Ty's name. I don't know why that kind of popped out at me when I was
oh
looking at
yeah.
the cards. That yeah, she never
Mm-hmm.
sort of hyphenated or anything.
That's true. I hadn't even thought about that. You're right. So then Peter sells the car, the Porsche, and um, and then Wyatt goes running with Georgie and tells her she should go to Europe. And so she says, I want to go to Switzerland. And so they're going to be able to do that. And then they find out that it's the loco weed that is making Diamond become difficult, the horse. And so Laura kind of apologized to Tony, but you're right, she doesn't really face any consequences for what, although I'm sure it's not the most pleasant working environment between the two of them.
No, it's not. Doesn't seem like it.
Yeah. So this was a pretty fun episode. I would give this one, I don't know, Michelle, what would you give it?
I would give it a 7.5. I really liked it.
Yeah, I think that's good. What do you think, Ryan?
I agree with Michelle, 7.5.
Great. All right, very good. We did it. And these were some pretty fun episodes. So if you're listening, let us know what you think of all three, what you would give them. And Ryan, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's one of those things where I normally wouldn't go out of my way to watch a show like this, but now that I've actually seen it, it actually grew on me. It was kind of like Downton Abbey. I didn't expect to love it, but I did. So
yeah, it's grown on me and Michelle as well. Better after 12 seasons. So Michelle, where can people find you?
On Twitter at Michelle R. Benson.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. And Ryan, where can people find you?
People can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at RyanCam20. There's, of course, my YouTube channel, which is just called Ryan Cam. Life in the Movies podcast drops every Wednesday. Well, not this coming Wednesday because I'm still technically on vacation, but it will be picking up when Jacob gets back from his camping trip. And then I'm going to be covering new releases. Haven't seen Jurassic World yet. I will be getting to it. I'll also be reviewing Lightyear and the Black Phone. So that's all coming up very soon.
Great. And make sure you're following the podcast on Homework is Pod and Homework is Podcast, all over social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That helps us so much. 5 stars. And if you are listening on YouTube, please if you're listening on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We love getting our Heartland comments. They're so great. So please continue to do that. And if you can check out the merch store, we have Heartland inspired merch. So that's really fun. We also have the patron group and we so appreciate that support there. So thanks so much, everybody. And we'll talk to y'all later. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.